So, hey, can you give me the numbers to how many businesses have you helped? How many minority businesses have you helped? And can we bring those resources in the community? Because what we don't want people to waste their time.
Right.
You know, and everybody put on the show, but then afterwards, it's kind of
it's back to your business as usual.
Yes.
Yeah.
So we want people to leave with some type of value, some type of connections, and help.
Yeah.
So that is the biggest thing that I get called on is, you know, we need money. We need money to expand. A lot, like I know when we had the Black Business Roundtable with Frank.
Mm-hmm. Frank Mervan.
Yes.
Yeah.
We one of the people that participated stated that she went to a bank and they told her, well, we already reached our limit and lended to businesses like you and Gary.
Right.
And that's a issue because not only do Black businesses have challenges, but how many businesses did you lend to, Gary?
Right.
And this is where we need to, as a community, put these lenders on forefront and ask for numbers, because numbers don't lie.
Now let me kind of chime in on that, because I like this conversation. You know, as I said, I think that there are multiple approaches, and this is something I've thought about for over 20 years, so that you can appreciate this. As you bring in talking to politicians, you know, there is a conversation that is going on in our country that has really starting to get momentum, and it is operating under the conversation of reparations.
Yes.
Now, you know, I've said before, you know, I doubt whether you agree or disagree. I don't ever think there'll be a monetary reparations where people are getting checks. It's just not going to happen. No matter whether the people think they deserve it or not. I do, however, have always believed there are more palatable approaches to kind of bring in the equality. The first one that I always talked about was if there's a state institution of higher learning or a vocational school, if lineage is proven, just like they do with the Native Americans, then any descendant of slave should be able to walk onto a college campus or a vocational school and get a set of skills. That's paying it backwards, in which you're actually bringing our slaves' ancestors, you're actually rewarding, you're paying a debt owed to them because you're getting their people caught up to speed a little quicker. Yeah. That's one way. Another thing that I've always kind of flirted with, and I know this would be kind of controversial, but I actually believe this, and I'm a kind of a conservative dude, and that is that I think that we really need to have conversations about the credit score.
Yes.
And what I mean by that is that there are people in certain communities, and I'll put this under the thing of reparations, in which you have Black Americans who have had to make some decisions at the kitchen table about what gets paid, what doesn't. Maybe I got to let this car get picked back up until I can get back on track, and they are never, and that never really goes away from that credit report. While you have guys, I mean, we got one that is running, who is a former president who is running for re-election, and he's not the only one who declare bankruptcies over and over and over again and get loans that are still considered astronomical to us. So I think that there needs to be some of those real political conversations to go out here, because the financial institution is based on risk. You know this as well as anybody. And so to kind of sit back and think that they have to be incentivized to go out here and take risk. You either kind of take away the fact that this isn't a risky loan, or you incentivize them to go do it, because the little quota picking and choosing, they stop once they meet that bare minimum, and then they're on to the bigger client or the safer one. You know,
yes.
So I think those conversations that you're starting to have with these roundtables and bringing these people in are very healthy, and then we can build on them.
Yes, that is correct.
Yeah.
And, you know, going back to, you know, our former president, so when you say he filed all these bankruptcies, he did not file those bankruptcies personal.
Right.
And that's one thing that we are not educated in the Black community.
Yeah.
And, you know, it's a lot of myths out there about, okay, well, I could just start a business and have credit. Well, if you have good credit personally, you know, it's something called like a personal guarantor that you could sign on your business.
And you really don't want to do that. You know, if you can, I've heard, you don't, I mean, I wouldn't want to tie my personal wealth up into my business that much.
Well, so let's just say a little loophole, right?
Yeah.
Let's just say if I have 4 or 5 different businesses and I create them and make 5 of those businesses with good credit.
Right.
Where I'm not adding on my personal.
Yeah.
So if this one flunks, then this is this business.
That's that.
But if I go back and create another business, change the name, right?
Yeah.
But that's what a lot of they do.
Yeah.
They change the name, start over again
With a whole new fresh slate. There we go.
And that is something that, like, knowledge is power.
Right.
And those conversations, unfortunately, are not held in our community.
No, and you bring up a good point. We're talking about Ms. Lois Whittaker. She is the president of the Black Chamber of Commerce of Northwest Indiana. They got a wonderful event coming up Thursday on the campus of Indiana University at the Savannah Center. It's a I call it a summit, but what are you calling it?
My annual convention.
Annual convention. We'll be talking about that in just a bit. And listen, I agree with you, but I'll tell you something else that we don't talk about. And this is something that is kind of basic. We don't get enough conversation or get enough people educated in finance.
That's correct.
Because, the one thing, and you saw this a lot with the immigrant communities. As a matter of fact, I'm reading a book by a friend of mine who's a writer for the Times, and he writes a lot of books about Northwest Indiana, and it's about East Chicago. And just about how migrants were attracted here, and then the businesses that kind of grew up for the immigrants. And you start to see lending institutions, banks, and things like that. They contributed to making and building their communities up. We have never officially gotten into that business. You know what I mean? Now, I think there have been obstacles to deter us because we've been mostly consumers on that end, are kind of held at bay. But we got to really start talking about bringing back some banks.
That's correct.
Or creating banks.
Creating banks. I know there is a lot of talk about the CRA funds.
Yeah.
And I kind of like the Black Wall Street method, where they had their own lending, and they actually everyone pitched in to make the business booming in that area.
Right.
And I think another example, it's not the Black community, but I know South Bend has actually kind of struggle and started with building within their community to bring businesses to their community. So for one, we all need to work together.
Right.
And we all need to, collaboration over competition every day and build each other up.
Right.
We have the older business owners that have been around for 30, 40 years.
Mm-hmm.
They need to be, mentoring some of the younger business owners to help them, because again, most of us, including myself, we are first generational entrepreneurs, and we learn by, unfortunately, falling.
Right. Well, we had a TEDx, one of our TED Talks was a TEDx Gary Women, and I always kind of reference the fact that, as I was, listening to these young ladies trying to prepare, and then I remember that night, and I know there's some people that were speaking, I'm sure are mutual friends of both of ours. The theme was failure, and I had never ever kind of looked and approached my life like that. Since that talk about 4 years ago, that's all I look about. That's all I look at when I see young people, or when we talk about things on the show. I encourage people to go out here and fail. That's not a negative word. People, when you say it negative, or when you're scared of it, that's when you kind of, you're stuck in your tracks. But if you go out here and you just look at failure like, you know what, come on, then you're going to be better the next time. And when you hit, you're going to hit. And that's kind of what those stories were that I got inspired by those women.
Yes. It's like a cycle.
Yeah.
You fail, you get up, you get stronger. So now,
and you're not going to fail at the same thing again.
No, but those lessons are actually your biggest blessing.
Right.
And that's how we learn. But if we have the older business owners kind of to say, hey, maybe don't jump all in, maybe jump, 70% in. Don't, tie up all your finances, things that they learn.
Right.
And in that way, we could have a more thriving business economy.
Well, that's where people in organizations like yours come in, because, chambers of commerce, historically, have been put together so people who normally are out on the same playing field, they're competing. They might not be competing directly with each other, but they can kind of take a respite and come back on the same team and share ideas, share secrets, share things they know within the confines of their organization. You know what I'm saying? So, that's why I once again applaud you for kind of taking a step and starting that, because we do, and no shout out to our good friend who probably might be listening, Chuck Hughes. We respect the quote Gary Chamber of Commerce, but they've gone corporate, and they're not out here really building entrepreneurs up or providing resources to encourage people or show people how to do this. You're kind of left to your own devices. And then when you get kind of, a certain level, then they might send you an invitation to come to the Dynasty or wherever they're having their luncheons now over in Hammond. But, I was talking with a good friend of mine, Jocelyn Kelly, Jay's Breakfast Club. And, she was talking about starting a merchant type of organization or working with the city of Gary, the Melton administration, because he's interested in kind of getting a vibe with all businesses. Have you been contacted, or are you working tandem? Yeah, you've got to, because we've been running each other at this function.
So we are on the Small Business Advisory Council with the city of Gary.
With Jocelyn.
Yes, with Jocelyn. Yes, we are. And we are actually, in the process. I believe we have a meeting tonight at 5:30. So yes, we have been working with bringing those small business resources. And it's not just a Gary chamber.
Right.
It's all the chambers. And what, the mission between the Black Chamber is that I want us to reshape how does a chamber look? What does a chamber do? Because my thing is, I'm saying this in my 40s, right?
Right.
Why would I join a chamber and go to a meeting if I'm not coming back with anything of value?
Right.
And that's the biggest thing. That was one of the big, and it's not, like I said, it's not to go against any chambers. Right. It's just that we are here to make chambers stronger.
Right.
To provide resources, because if we have a thriving business, so hey, the Black Chamber could get them to be a corporate,
right,
business, down the line, where we could say, okay, well, you don't have to be limited to just join the Black Chamber, the Gary Chamber, the Lecturer Chamber. You could join all the chambers, but I'm just saying, me as a person, when I go to a meeting,
you want to know what you're getting out of it.
Yes, yeah, and I want to leave with value.
Right. Because your time's valuable.
Right.
Yeah.
And because now I'm taking time away from my business.
Right.
Taking the time away from doing other things.
Right.
So if I'm spending an hour to 4 hours, I'm walking away with some type of connection, with some type of resource that could help my business grow.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's what is the mission behind the Black Chamber. It's not just to say, okay, last year we brought in a lot of lenders.
Right.
This year we're more bringing on resources.
Well, we're talking to Ms. Lois Whittaker, once again, the president and founder of the Black Chamber of Commerce of Northwest Indiana. She's got an event we're going to talk about in just a second over Thursday. Her organization has an event over Thursday on at the Savannah Center on the campus of Indiana University Northwest. Let's talk about membership for those people out there that are listening and are doing their own little thing and have or like the concept and the things that you're talking about now. How does one join, and what does membership consist of?
So basically, we have different levels of membership. We have the non-for-profit faith-based, which is $150 annually.
Yeah.
And we have the small business membership, which is $200 annually. And then we have like different levels of corporate memberships that based upon your, how many employees you have and things of that. But the number one thing that we try to do is help with access to capital, resources.
Yeah.
We want to have, like I said, stressing this over and over again. We want to bring, when you come to a meeting or to an event, we want you to, number one, feel important,
yes,
feel heard,
yeah,
and learn something.
Right.
So bringing resources, networking is important, but we want to, how can I say this? We want you to network with people that could help you on your journey.
Right.
Networking
for networking's sake. You've just made another friend. But
yes.
But are you really networking?
Yes.
Yeah.
So we want to connect you with people where we're talking about ideas,
right,
wealthy conversations.
Yes.
How can we collaborate and make money together?
Right.
Versus, hey, let's do lunch and
Right.
You know.
Yeah, and so I think, I'm glad you kind of defined that, because you don't want people to come in, I'm sure you want to take on all comers and things like that, but you also want people to understand that you all are not looking for people that are not serious, that are not bringing anything to the table. This is not just one of these many social groups that a person can use to put on their little resume or what have you. You got to get in here and really bring something to the table and be willing to kind of be part of the team.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. We appreciate that. Now let's get over to this event on Thursday. Give us the logistics, start back, because I keep calling it a summit. It is a convention, the second annual convention, I believe. As you said, you've expanded. Last year was about resources, right? Or lending. Lending was last year. Now you're about resources and expansion. So kind of give me the theme of this one.
So, okay, so we're kind of focusing more on the first panel is small business resources.
Right.
So let's just say you want to know how to start, but you don't know how to start, or you're starting and you're trying to learn how to expand.
Right.
The first resource, so we have with the U.S. Department of Labor, we have IUN Business Academy, we have Dushan with I Can Start. He was my, entrepreneurship instructor at Purdue. So I've been, keeping up in touch with him for years. And, let me see, the fourth person. And we have
we got a lot
Lori
of
Felt. Yes,
yeah.
We have Lori Felt from Indiana Small Business Development Corporation.
Yeah.
So that one is just to help businesses.
Paul Yarden.
Yes.
Yeah.
From SCORE.
Yeah.
Yes.
And Dushan. I can't pronounce his name.
Right, yes. That's we just call him in college.
Yeah.
We call him Dushan.
Dushan,
We didn't even say his last name.
Exactly. I would have been right there with you. But he's there as well. So I'm just looking to help you out, because it is a very, very extensive program that you got over there.
Yes.
So what do you hope to do? Are you going to break them down in like working groups, or are there going to be two separate seminars?
So that's from the beginning. So I believe that one will start. We want to start on time at 1 o'clock. 1 o'clock, everyone, on time.
Yeah. Get there at 12:30.
Yes, get there at 12:30. So our first panel starts about 1:15, 1:30.
Right.
And that will be for about 45 minutes.
Okay.
So our second panel is talking about, hey, you know what everybody else wants, these minority business certifications. We have Sharon Harvey with the Small Business Association talking about the federal certifications. We have Steve Mays from State Farm. I know a lot of people, the biggest thing that a lot of the contractors cannot afford bonds, right? To bid on some of these larger jobs.
Right.
So, he's going to be talking about the business insurance, the bonding process.
Right.
We have Old National Bank. Some contracts, when you sign, you might not be able to get paid until you get like 20% of the job complete.
Exactly.
So how do you get money from a bank to, be able to pay your people, your payroll or your 1099s, things like that?
Kind of get a loan on a future payment.
Yes.
Yeah.
So we have them, that organization there as well. Let me see who else. I'm trying to think off the top of my head.
No, it's fine. No. I real quick, I want to go to that bond thing, because I used to do a show with one of my good friends, Dan Repay. He is executive director of the Calumet River Basin.
Yes.
And one of the things that they were doing a couple years ago, were, just things like cutting the grass, kind of getting out here, cleaning out some of the things. And they were trying to come out into the region and do small businesses, and in particular minority-owned businesses. And one of the things that he and I used to work on our show is a kind of a creative approach to doing that, because you absolutely bring up a good point, because there are people out here that might want to do it, but the job is way too big for them at this point. They can't go out here and afford the bond and things like that. So what we used to do, we try to tell people to partner, get a couple of guys, a couple of different entities together, and you all kind of work on this at a certain section. You take a piece, we take a piece, and then we come together as a whole to get that job done, and we put our little respective pieces of capital or resources that we have into the thing to kind of go out here and satisfy that.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's the biggest thing, is like I said, collaboration. Collaboration. And we want to prepare those businesses to be able to participate in those contracts.
Right.
And not just,
they're lucrative if you can get them.
And you know what? So we got state, we got local, and we got federal, right? And I'm not going to spend too much time on our numbers.
No, go ahead.
I'm going to talk about our numbers, right? So federally, it's 23%.
Yeah.
Right? That minority businesses are supposed to get, contract. And that's with Biden. And he is actually exceeded that to 24%, right? But do you know that blacks are the lowest?
Yes.
On that list.
Yeah.
And state is 4%.
Right.
And still, the black businesses are the lowest. And, the state of Indiana are not meeting those numbers to 4%.
Right.
Biden is exceeding those numbers. And then you have your local, and I believe with the city of Gary, I believe it's 66%.
Oh, interesting.
Yes.
I know today, I saw earlier today on the news, there was this brother, he's from Inglewood. And he started a storage and moving company many years ago. And now he has, he had expanded. He's moving around Chicago. He was doing things at the United Center and things like that. And now he has come into his dream motherlode because he is the guy who is in charge of moving and storage for the Democratic National Convention. So this is that, the young brother, this guy has to be in his early 40s.
Wow.
Yeah, I saw him this morning. I was like, all I can do is just like, God bless you, brother. Just methodical and kind of some of the things that you're talking about and some of the things and ideas that are going to be shared with at that convention on Thursday.
Yeah.
Yeah. So absolutely. So once again, you've given us the times. 1 o'clock. Please get there on time because it helps everything go orderly. You and your team, I'm sure, have put together a nice little rigorous schedule. And then when people come in for these things, they also have, they're allotting a certain part of their time. They don't have time to just sit around there all day and wait for folks. These are busy people who are doing this out of something that they believe in. And so when it works in an orderly fashion, everybody gets something out of it. So we want them to come on time. Let's talk about price. What's the hit?
It's free.
Woo!
We missed the panel. We do have one.
Okay, give me that last panel, the procurement panel.
Yes, there you go. That's the most important. That's the most important panel. So let's say, okay, Lois, I already, small business. I have my certifications. I'm ready to bid.
Yeah.
I'm ready to know where is the money at.
Where's the money?
So we have right now the 3 biggest, agencies in America that are dropping money. We have Department of Transportation, which they're not able to participate, but we have the U.S. EPA and the Department of Energy. So we have those two on the last panel.
Right.
Those 2 agencies on the last panel, and we have IDEM, which everyone knows about, and we have but let's talk the IRS.
The IRS. I was about to say
the IRS.
They're the one that stands out.
Yes. So this panel, we have a lot of tax cuts and energy for the IRS, but with the EPA and the Department of Energy, it is so much money that is dropping. I think last Friday they dropped $850 million.
Right.
How do I, as a business owner, able to participate and get a piece of the pie, right? Yeah. This is what we want to know. Let's just be honest. Right. How do I, as a small business owner, if I'm in energy, construction, how do I prepare my business or how I'm able to get some of the money?
No, listen, I think that, that is the right approach. The one thing that I would ask is, because obviously you've got Frank Mervan, you've got the Department of Energy, it's a very Biden-esque type of thing, and I get it. Listen, I mean, we're in the second year and things like that, but also, being in Indiana and being a business owner is also understanding the landscape, and whether people like the politics or not, the reality is we live in a very red state with a supermajority. Now, I'm not just saying that because I'm a homer, but I just believe that it's right. If I'm over here running a business, I want to be successful. As Michael Jordan used to say, Republicans buy Jordans too. So,
yes.
There might be policies out here that are not necessarily being kind of pushed out there or rolled out by one administration because maybe the other guy has it. But I want to see whatever's out there. And because my ultimate goal is to get resources in the community, whoever brings it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And Mark Lopez from Frank Mervan office is opening up the annual convention convention.
Yeah, I know.
You know
I know Mark. Yeah,
you know, yeah. So he's also
he's a
open up.
business owner too.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I think he and his wife have a restaurant, if I'm not mistaken.
You know, I believe so.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, very nice one. So yeah, I mean, it sounds like it sounds like a star-studded event. I see this thing growing, and as I said, you know, hopefully going forward, get people from downstate because so we can get resources that are a lot closer to us. But I think this is a very, very good start. Yeah, absolutely. Well, once again, Lois, it is an absolute pleasure always, and I'm really proud of you, man. You've done a lot in such a small time, but you're really, I guess this has been your life.
Yes.
You've been doing so this is not like you're an overnight success. You've been really building on this.
Yes.
Yeah.
To get to know what the business owners need and wanting the community and to be in the community. As you see, we run into each other.
We run into each other all the time.
Yes.
Well, with that being said, we're going to get ready to take a break. Once again, we want to thank